Shocking absolutely no one, BBC's journalist on the ground in Gaza is completely biased. Completely biased. Not only is he just completely biased in the sense that he's sympathetic to the Hamas cause, he literally is a raging Jew hater who wants to genocide all the Jews. As you can see, I got this Telegraph thing pulled up in the archive because I ain't paying their fucking paywall. Quote, "We'll burn the Jews like Hitler did," says BBC contributor in Gaza. Samer Elzainin, I think is how you'd say that. Samer Elzainin has appeared on BBC Arabic more than a dozen times since the conflict erupted and even reported live last month. A journalist who appears prominently on the BBC's Arabic channel to report from Gaza called for the Jews to be burned as Hitler did. It can be revealed. Samer El-Zayin has appeared on BBC Arabic more than a dozen times since the conflict erupted following the October 7th Hamas attacks in southern Israel. He reported live last month, and his dispatches have included reports from the Nasiriyat refugee camp in June last year after an Israeli military operation to rescue 4 hostages held by Hamas led to hundreds of Palestinian deaths. Most of those were combatants, by the way. It has now emerged that El-Zainin, 33, has issued a stream of social media posts which single out Jews for condemnation and even appear to call for violence against them. I mean, shocking absolutely fuck no one. You cannot trust Arabs to be unbiased when it comes to covering anything involving Jews. They will always side against the Jews. They will never tell the truth where the Jews are concerned. You know, it's just not going to happen. In a Facebook post in July 2022, he stated, "When things go awry for us, shoot the Jews. It fixes everything." And he said that before October 7th even happened. So this cannot just be zeal for the plight of his people in the wake of, well, I'm sure that's the excuse he'd probably use anyway. El-Zainin has also appeared to call for a repeat of the Holocaust, stating on Facebook in May 2011, "My message to the Zionist Jews: We are going to take back our land. We love death for Allah's sake, the same way you love life. We shall burn you as Hitler did, but this time we won't have a single one of you left." Pretty spicy. Elsewhere on social media, he has posted a hashtag stating, hashtag "We are Hamas, you sons of a Jewess." You son of a Jewess. So yeah, just being, because the Judaism, the Jewishness, whatever you want to call it, is like matriarchal. It passes through the mother. So if your father is not a Jew, but your mother is a Jew, you are considered a Jew. Although that's also kind of bullshit, especially in the modern day context, is let's say like a Jewish man marries a Gentile woman and she doesn't convert to Judaism, but the children are still raised as Jews, meaning, you know, they have brises and bar mitzvahs and bat mitzvahs, and they do all the Jewish things, and they go to synagogue. Just because the mother wasn't Jewish doesn't mean that the kids won't be considered Jewish. So it's not as cut and dry as your mom has to be a Jew. El-Zaidan's social media output over the past decade has included endorsements of more than 30 separate attacks against Jewish civilians in Israel, including the actions, in Israel, calling the actions blessed and heroic, describing the perpetrators as heroes and martyrs who ascended to heaven and appeared to express joy at the victim's death. Commenting on a February 2023 attack in which a Palestinian terrorist killed 2 boys aged 8 and 6 and a 20-year-old man after ramming his car into a bus stop in Jerusalem, El-Zainin said the victim will soon go to hell. Yeah, this is who the BBC puts on their payroll. The Palestinian journalist has also repeatedly described the Hamas terrorists who carried out the October 7th attacks as resistance fighters, including those who targeted young music fans at the Nova Festival. Were they resistance fighters? Was it resistance fighters that raped those women? Although, of course, they often say that the Hamas didn't rape any women that day. All the women that were raped that day were raped by IDF soldiers who were pretending to be Hamas in order to, psyop people into hating Hamas. Ahmad Kanan, I don't know how you would say that. Ahmed Kanan, we'll go with that. Another regular BBC Arabic freelance contributor appears to have expressed his hope that Israelis wounded in a shooting near a Jerusalem synagogue, which claimed the lives of 7 civilians on Holocaust Memorial Day in January 2023, would also die. Writing on Facebook in response to a friend who stated, "We want to see some throats cut," Kanan replied, "Don't give up on your ambition." Just remember, the BBC would never have a Jew on payroll, even though they have Jews on payrolls. I'm not saying but they would never have a Jew on payroll who is this rabidly anti-Muslim. It just wouldn't happen. They would have Jews on payroll who are pro-Israel. Sure, I'm sure people can name a ton that are, but if there was a Jewish journalist working for the BBC who reveled at the deaths of Palestinians the same way Gazans. I hate saying Palestinians. I got psyoped into saying it. There are no Palestinians. Palestine is not a place. It never has been a place. It never will be a place. The only reason why I even bother saying Gazans because they're not. They're Palestinian. It's not an ethnic group. You people are Arabs. You're Egyptians and Syrians and Jordanians. Simple as. Writing on Facebook in response to a friend who stated, "We want to see some throats cut," Kanan replied, "Don't give up your ambition." So yeah, let's just kill as many innocent Jews as we possibly can. And I know a lot of people are going to say, but that's what the IDF is doing. They're decided to kill as many innocent Palestinians as they possibly can. No, they're not. I don't buy into that shit. I don't. I do not believe that the IDF is intentionally targeting civilians. They're doing everything that they can to reduce civilian casualties, but Hamas put civilians in harm's way. And if, as was seen, as I covered recently, what happens if you are a Gazan citizen and you try to stand up to Hamas, they will just fucking kill you. So imagine you have a gun to your head telling you you're not allowed to flee this active war zone. We need you to die by Israeli, bomb drops so that we have, propaganda weapons to use in the news. Your cell phone dings and you get a warning from the IDF that they're about to bomb the area, and then the building you're in gets roof knocked, which gives you a few more minutes to flee. The IDF is, doing all these things, trying to warn you, and then as you try to leave, some Hamas or, Islamic Jihad asshole points a gun in your face and tells you you're not allowed to leave. You have to stay there and die for the cause. These are the people who the anti-Jew segment of the internet, this is the people who they call freedom fighters. Kanan, however you want to say that, also described a 26-year-old Palestinian who killed 4 civilians and a police officer in a series of shootings in the Israeli city of Bnei Brak in March 2022 as a hero. BBC sources emphasize that El-Zainan and Kanan were not members of staff. No, they're contributors. They're contributors. Contractors. They get paid, but they're not officially part of the BBC. Fuck off. Fuck right the fuck off. But the broadcaster's use of them as freelance contributors representing the corporation has been condemned by media watchers who accuse BBC Arabic, part of BBC's World Service, of anti-Israel bias, which is shocking absolutely fuck nobody. The Arabic world does not like the Jews. They've made that clear for, 2,000 years at this point. The Committee for Accuracy of Middle East Reporting and Analysis, CAMRA, interesting analogy, or not analogy, anagram there, which unearthed their social media post, says it is indicative of BBC Arabic's willingness to use contributors who cannot be trusted to deliver objective and balanced broadcasting. It comes after the Telegraph revealed that regular BBC Arabic contributor Ahmed Alaga was accused of describing Israelis as less than human and Jews as devils. A CAMRA UK spokesperson said the BBC misleadingly frames freelance journalists used by the Arabic services as mere contributors, so it won't have to take responsibility for the hatred they regularly spew in social media. providing live reporting from the Gaza Strip and other world locations. It is not the opinion that the BBC asked them to share with its audience, but their eyewitness based on their presence on the ground. Freelancers who divulge such egregious bias should not be covering Israeli or Jewish affairs for the BBC. Any individual whose social media activity indicates their support for violence targeting Israelis' Jewish civilians lacks the basic journalistic skill of distinguishing between combatants and uninvolved bystanders. Kemi Badenoch, the Conservative Party leader, last month called for wholesale reform of BBC Arabic after a report by Camera accused it of appalling anti-Semitism and anti-Israel bias. I mean, I can't wait to see the people try to say that what this guy's saying isn't anti-Semitism, because it is. He's literally calling for the murder of all Jews. All of them, full stop. Kemi Badenoch, the Conservative... All right, I already said that part, my bad. In a letter to Tim Davie, the BBC's Director General, Ms. Badenoch said, BBC Arabic is intended to provide high-quality, trusted news for the hundreds of millions of people who speak Arabic. It should uphold the highest standards of public service broadcasting. Instead, it seems that the World Service may be fomenting extremism and misleading audiences while funded by the taxpayer and license fees. This is simply unacceptable and must stop. I agree. Kemi. I 100% agree. The BBC has previously investigated a number of BBC Arabic presenters and reporters who liked or shared social media posts which appeared to celebrate the October 7th atrocities but took no further action against them. El Zainan and Kanan were approached for comment. A BBC spokesman said international journalists, including the BBC, are not allowed access into Gaza, so we hear from a range of eyewitness accounts from the Strip. These are not BBC members of staff or part of the BBC's reporting team. We were not aware of the individual's social media activity prior to hearing from them on air. We are absolutely clear that there is no place for anti-Semitism in our services. And yet you continue to keep these guys on payroll. How do you explain that, BBC? Because you're cucked, just like, all of Britain seems to be. You're cucked by Arabs and Muslims. The thing about Muslims is, it's not just Arab Muslims, Pakistani Muslims, Muslims period, is they are an enemy of the West, not just of Jews, but of Christians, of Europeans, period, full stop. This is a fucking backwards, savage culture that is, centuries behind us in morality, in everything. Like, if I had my way, I've said repeatedly over and over and over again, I do not want to live in an ethno state, and I don't. I'm white as fuck, and I still don't want to live in an ethno state. But if I had my way, Arabs and Muslims would not be allowed to live in the same country as me. Sorry. And like I said, Arabs and Muslims. So Arabs full stop, but then also Muslims full stop. So this includes all Muslims. If you're a practicing Muslim, I don't care what race you are. I don't care if you're a Slavic Muslim, if you're a white Muslim. No, I'm not going to share a country with you. I don't trust any of them. I don't. Call me racist. I don't care. Call me religious. I don't care. I have no fucking sympathy for these people. None whatsoever. They, to be frank, they fucking disgust me. So, do with that what you will. Do the algorithm stuff for me. I'm sure some of you, somewhere, will have a bone to pick, especially with my last little tirade at the end of this video. But I really don't give a shit if you like it or not. Yeah, but if you want to, help me even though you fucking hate what I have to say, be sure to comment because it still helps me in the algorithm. Some of you aren't going to be able to help yourselves. Or maybe you will. Maybe you will help yourselves. Or maybe YouTube will shadow ban this whole video and nobody will see it. But whatever. Throw me a bone.